What's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Let's get right into it. Robert Brooks, brutally unalive by 9 or so corrections officers. It was all caught on tape. They're beating him, choking him, socking him, stuffing stuff down his mouth. They had their body cameras turned off. That's why there's no audio, but a different camera caught them. This is what they do all the time, turn off their body cameras when they are about to unalive someone. Now I know that you snow bunny inclined black men think that racism is over. Probably even think that this black man had it coming. You're so indoctrinated and brainwashed, but for all of you who always talking about black people are just playing the victim, the man is handcuffed, being beaten to death on December 9th. He died the next day, December 10th. Now they're talking about they have to do an investigation. Everything is plain to see right here on video. I don't know what's left to investigate. It's all clear to me. But this is also what they do, claim that they need to investigate, to prolong everything so that these people can get their lives in order before they are arrested. Let's get into the sickness, into the madness that is America.
This is in New York State, but live picture there over New York City Harbor there in Lady Liberty. What I want to do now, because we heard from New York Attorney General Letitia James, also from Governor Kathy Hochul, James releasing footage from the investigation into the death of Robert Brooks here. I want to put this tweet up. This is from our colleague there at Fox 5 New York.
So this is hard to watch. This is going to be hard to watch for me, a strong, proud black man who, is sick of all of this stuff. Now here it is, the man is handcuffed. His hands behind his back, handcuffed. Clearly he's no threat. He's no life-threatening threat to anyone. He's handcuffed behind his back. Already sort of out of it because they've already been beating upon him. And here it is, this man has his hand around his throat, choking him out. How come murder charges have not already been brought? Because if this were 10 or so black men doing this to a white man, they already had a death penalty without even going to court. It had been street justice. But that's always the problem with black people. You're never inclined to street justice. Nina Simone, and I'm going to find that clip. She said when she left America after Malcolm X's death, she gave an interview and said, I blame black people for Malcolm X's death. I blame black people for Martin Luther King's death, she said. Because black people, they're willing to die, but they're not willing to kill. Fucking shame, if you ask me. But I'm not advocating violence.
Linda Schmidt with body camera footage there. Now remember, viewer discretion is advised. She says upstate prisoner beaten to death.
Look.
Correction officers' body cam videos were released today by Letitia James in the death of Robert Brooks at the Marcy Correctional Facility. And Hochul has issued a statement as well. It says 14 people will be fired over this. So this is an ongoing...
14 people will be fired over this. Now, of course, it's about to be public outcry, public outrage, and so eventually charges will be brought. But charges would have been brought immediately had it been anyone else. And yes, I do see that there's a black man there helping to carry out this assault. For those who may say, well, it's a black person there. In my estimation, black police officers, for the most part, the vast majority, are just a part of a corrupt, racist system. They are a part of the problem. Just because they're black don't mean a damn thing to me. And it doesn't mean anything to them either. Evidenced by the fact that he's here with these people who hates his guts, brutalizing and unaliving an innocent black man. Innocent in a sense that he didn't deserve this. I don't know what he's in prison for. In fact, I think I heard earlier he was in prison for, I think maybe he stabbed this girl or something and she passed away. Either way, that's neither here nor there. The question is whether or not he deserved this, whether or not this was warranted. We were all in prison for one thing or another. And the answer is no, because he's handcuffed behind his back and they continue to choke him and beat him. And for the black officer that's there involved, my answer is a simple one. Get rid of him too. In the real way. He's a part of the system, a part of the problem. And until we wipe these people off the face of the fucking earth, we'll continue to experience this. Hell. And for those, again, who are going to say, well, damn, the big fella's advocating violence. Well, you have no problem with violence when it comes to your brethren. When it comes to your brother, hell, I can't even look at you wrong. Lord forbid I go to a party and step on your damn shoe. You're ready to take my head off. But these people can't brutalize you and film it constantly. This is not an isolated incident. This is ongoing. And your response is a very weak and meek one. No wonder we get no respect around the world.
Investigation into the death of Robert Brooks. He died December the 10th of this year after an encounter with New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers. This was at Marcy Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York. That's in Oneida County. Now, the day before, on December the 9th, Brooks was transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility to Marcy Correctional Facility. Those are both in the same county, Oneida County, according to James. Brooks, she says, who was handcuffed with his hands behind his back, was then taken into a medical examination room where the events captured in the video took place here. So remember, we want to bring you some of this body camera video. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's take some of that.
Do this until February 1st. On January 1st, we're starting a 4-week chair workout challenge
I think that's
for
a black
beginners over
officer.
50.
All right, so this was just released today by the office of New York Attorney General Tish James here. And so what you're watching right now is the moment in the wake of the transfer of Brooks from one facility to another here. So according to James, when he was transferred to this medical examination room, you're going to see it in just a moment, he was pronounced dead in the early morning hours of December 10th. But the action here, all right, we're going to watch it. Viewer discretion is advised. And there is Brooks there after being transferred from one facility to another. You are going to see the actions, and it's very difficult to watch. It's graphic. Officers there appearing to beat Brooks there. All right, so if you're just joining us for this story, this is what we know. This body-worn camera released by Attorney General Tish James's office that appears to show members of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers there at Marcy Correctional Facility beating Robert Brooks. Brooks was handcuffed with his hands behind his back.
Fuck, man.
He was then...
Look at him. Maimed, brutalized. In fact, I don't see any black officers. I thought the one dude was black. I don't see any black officers. Not surprising, you know. These are sick individuals. And this is something that people need to understand. And I'm going to have to ask, our white brothers and sisters who always proclaim not to see color and wants to move the world and the country forward, where is your outrage? It cannot just be black people outraged. Had this been a white child, regardless, or white man, regardless of what he was in prison for, and 9 black officers were doing this to him and unalived him, you will be out in record numbers calling for his head. And if you claim that you don't see color and that you want to move the country forward, some of you are married to black people and you have black friends, that's the first thing you're going to say. I have a friend that's black, can't date my daughter, can't come in my house, but I got a friend that's black. And you may be married to a black person, and so you say, how can I be racist and I'm married to a black person? Easy. That's a story for another day. I'm going to ask you all to step up and show some outrage as opposed to indifference to another human being being viciously brutalized on camera. And if you profess to have human feeling and humanity, then I'm going to have to ask, where's your outrage? Where's your protest? And black people, again, it's not going to be enough to walk up and down the street and hold signs. If this worked, we wouldn't have to do it continuously. It would have worked the first time in the 50s, the 60s. It's a reason that we're still doing it in the 2000s with the Black Lives Matter movement, walking around with signs that say Black Lives Matter, protesting in this way. Well, if the protest was effective, then it wouldn't be necessary in 2015 and 16 and 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 and 25, because it would have been effective in the 50s and 60s. It would have worked then, making it unnecessary now. The fact that we're still doing it now in itself means that it does not work. If you want your respect as a black man, then when you see your brother being brutalized in this manner, there's only one way to respond, and one way only.
Taken to a medical examination room there where the events captured in the video took place, she says. Now, Brooks was then transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead in the early morning.
Look like this dude here, this bald-head devil, is kicking him in his genitals, in his genital area. We all know. The sister talked about it in the book, The ISIS Papers. The penis envy that they all carry. It's a reason that when they used to lynch black men back in the day, and they made stamps out of these pictures back in the day, when they lynched them and took pictures of a charred black body hanging from a tree. When they would lynch them after the lynching, sometimes, as I've noted before, there will be a riot, a frenzied riot between the white people in attendance of said lynching. Why? Why riot against one another, you ask? Because they were fighting for the souvenir of the black person that they had just lynched. So they would cut off an ear, an arm, and it never failed that they would cut the genitalia off. It never failed. Never. They always cut it off and kept it as a so-called souvenir. But they wanted to, emasculate the black man, dehumanize him, even in death. They were still envious of his body parts that they couldn't stand and look at it. They had to cut it off. And it's not that they couldn't stand and look at it. Hell, they couldn't stop looking at it because they kept it as a souvenir. And so when you see them going for the groin area constantly, it's because he feels like, you know, this black man is what these women desire and not me. And it's making him very angry. It's a real thing. That's why he's aiming for his groin area. And also he's sick and barbaric. There's that too.
20 hours of December the 10th there. Now, Governor Hochul's office said 14 members here have been fired for their role in this. We also are getting statements in from elected leaders in New York. We're going to step away from this video. You're going to hear from James in just a second here. Let's put this up. So this is from State Senator of New York, Rob Ort. He says this: "I'm sickened by the brutal and senseless attack at Marcy Correctional Facility. The footage is absolutely appalling, and these violent actions cannot be tolerated. While this incident will understandably outrage New Yorkers, it's important to recognize that this horrific event does not reflect the dedicated service of the countless correction officers who risk their lives every day to maintain order and safety in our prisons." He says those responsible must be held fully accountable. There is no excuse for this behavior. That's from New York State Senator Rob Ort. In the meantime here, let's play the original announcement today by New York State Attorney General Letitia James.
Listen to this.
Good afternoon. Today my office is releasing video from the investigation into the death of Mr. Robert Brooks. Mr. Brooks had been incarcerated at Mohawk Correctional Facility and was transferred to Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th. During the incident, he was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. He was pronounced dead at Wynn Hospital in Utica on December 10th. I do not take lightly the release of this video, especially in the middle of the holiday season. But as Attorney General, I release these videos because I have a responsibility and duty to provide the Brooks family, their loved ones, and all New Yorkers with transparency and accountability. My deepest condolences go out to Mr. Brooks's family. Under New York law, my office investigates every case in which an officer of the law, including a correctional officer, may have caused the death of a civilian. On December 16th, my office announced that it had opened an investigation into Mr. Brooks's death. As in every case, the attorneys and investigators in my office are conducting an exhaustive review of the facts and the evidence. As Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly. As part of the investigation, my office obtained video from body-worn cameras that 4 of the correction officers were wearing at the time of the incident. The 4 officers had their body-worn cameras powered on, but did not activate them. So their cameras were recording video in standby mode without recording sound. My team met with Mr. Brooks's family earlier this week, and they viewed the footage. These videos are shocking and disturbing, and I advise all to take appropriate care before choosing to watch them. We are releasing 8 videos today from 4 officers' body-worn cameras. 4 videos, one from each officer, that each run for the full 30 minute length of the standby mode recording, and a second version of the same 4 videos, which have been cropped to show only footage involving Mr. Brooks and the interactions between the officers and Mr. Brooks. Again, I encourage taking caution before viewing. I want to reiterate that we are investigating this case thoroughly and using every tool at our disposal to ensure that there is transparency and accountability for the events that preceded Mr. Brooks's death. I also want to make clear that this video and the conduct of these officers should not reflect poorly on the work and professionalism of the countless correction officers and correctional facility nurses throughout the state who go to work every day to protect and serve those in their care.
No. Nobody wants to hear that bullshit, Tish. The jig is up. And though she's acting somber and melancholy over Robert Brooks's death, she still doesn't have the appropriate outrage, the same energy that she just recently had for Donald Trump when she herself filed charges against him and essentially accused him of being a menace to society. You want to talk about menaces to society? Look at these barbaric officers who just brutalized an unconscious man that was in handcuffs. Do you think, for all of you who are going to continue to believe that this had nothing to do with Mr. Brooks's race, that they would have did the same thing to freckle-faced Jimmy that looks like their son? The answer is no. Furthermore, far beyond me to try to convince you pig-headed people who don't want to listen that racism is alive and well. We know it, we being the conscious black people, not all black people, but the conscious ones, because others will make excuses for their daily struggles. So, for those who are conscious and sick and tired of seeing your brother and sister brutalized in this fashion, it's simple. Something must be done, and quickly. And again, I'm not talking about walking and marching and holding signs and screaming, "We shall overcome." We still haven't. Because that sort of rhetoric and protest is counterproductive and non-effective. But again, Tish James, I'm going to need a little bit more outrage. Yes, you're somber. Probably because you had to release this video and you had to see this shit yourself. And you know that you can't excuse it. But what's taking so long for the arrest? They should all be arrested on murder charges, including the damn nurse who stood by and did nothing. Every one of them that's in that room needs to be arrested immediately. What's taking so long? This was on December 9th. We in January now. What is taking so long? When we have the video evidence right here before our eyes. There's no excuse for it. There's nothing that you can say. He's handcuffed behind his back, obviously not swinging back or any of that. He's not resisting whatsoever. He can't. They're brutalizing him. His body is weak. He can't respond. He's cuffed up. So there was no reason to carry on and carry out this attack. This was cold-blooded homicide caught on video. Videos that the 4 officers had powered on. But as she just explained, they were on standby mode. And that's why there is no audio. They tried to cover it up, just like they did George Floyd. Man, it's me or you next. Or your brother or mine. If y'all don't stop fighting and shooting one another and take the fight to the people who are brutalizing you.
And now we will play the 4 cropped videos I mentioned earlier. And all 8 videos will be.
All right, so that was the message there from Tish James. So wanted to make sure we got that in. We do have the statement up from New York Governor Kathy Hochul here. Let's put this up. She says, like all New Yorkers, I was outraged and horrified after seeing footage of the senseless killing of Robert Brooks. She goes on to say, I have been clear that is the responsibility of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision to provide appropriate care and protection for those in its custody, and I will not tolerate anyone who violates that responsibility. She says that is why I ordered an immediate and full investigation into the death of Robert Brooks and further directed DOCCS Commissioner Martuscello to begin the termination process for the 14 individuals who were involved in his fatal attack. The state of New York has zero tolerance for individuals who break the law, and I am committed to holding everyone involved fully accountable. Once again, I want to offer my deepest condolences to Brooks's family and loved ones as they grieve his tragic death. I am grateful to the Attorney General and her team, our state police, and everyone working with us to ensure justice is served in this case here. So wanted to make sure we put that statement up as well, covering this story from all sides, all angles there, and definitely that body camera footage, very difficult to watch. If there are any more updates on this story, we'll make sure to bring them to you, but let's take a quick commercial.
It's not difficult to watch for some of these people. They enjoy watching it, like watching a commercial or a movie. It doesn't bother them whatsoever. So there you have it, people. A fellow human being brutalized on camera. Hell, you do a dog like that on camera, and white people gonna put your ass in jail. They about to go all around the world protesting like they did against Michael Vick. They gonna put your ass in prison immediately. Damn an investigation. They got it on camera. You're going down. Tie a dog up and beat him like that and see what the fuck happened. Your ass will do life in prison. Now, I'm not putting the onus on white people. It's not all on white people. But I'm just saying that if you're not racist and you want to move the country forward, then when things like this happen, there has to be outrage on both sides. It cannot just be black people and black people. Again, let me make myself explicitly clear. I don't care. Let me make myself abundantly clear, black men. You have to defend yourself, your wife and girlfriend, your sister, your daughter, your son and your brother, your father and your mother. The onus is on you, black men. It is on us to defend them by any means necessary. When we see our people being brutalized like this, we all must respond. Can you imagine? Well, if you a Crip, go to a Bloods neighborhood and tie their homies' hands behind their back and beat them like this to death, and then put it on Facebook, film it, and put it on Facebook or something. It's going to be an all-out war. The Bloods will respond immediately the same night, vice versa. Let a bunch of Bloods go to a Crip neighborhood and catch a Crip slipping and tie him up, tie his hands behind his back, and choke him and beat him in the same way that you just witnessed, and film it. And their homeboy that they love and care about dies the next day from this brutal, vicious, barbaric beating, this maiming, this feeding frenzy. Well, the Crips will be in the Bloods neighborhood within minutes, looking for revenge, looking to brutally unalive anyone that's in the way, to exact revenge on the culprits. And yet, time and time again, they are able to enter our neighborhoods, brutalize and murder an unarmed black man or woman. Caught on tape, caught on video. And the response is always the same. Gonna march and protest and hold a bunch of meaningless, stupid, dumbass signs. Begging for respect. Begging to be seen as a human being. No. Here's a thought. When white people felt slighted, remember they stormed the Capitol in New York or something first. Had rifles and all kind of shit. Just about something minute. And then, even though the election was not fixed, the fact that they felt like their voices had been taken, just something small, sent them over the edge. They stormed the Capitol and had politicians, governors, and the like hiding under desks, scared for their very lives. Beating police officers, spraying police officers, stabbing police officers, unaliving police officers. Just because they thought that their vote was being misplaced and mishandled. Can you imagine brutalizing their children in this fashion? What the response would be if they're storming the damn Capitol with weapons because they think their vote is being played with. Hell, black people have been brutalized in this country for generations and have never mustered up the gumption to storm a damn Capitol. Well, again, I'm not advocating violence, just self-defense by any means necessary. In defense of your brethren and your brother. It is what it is. Take it how you want to take it. I'm sick of seeing these sort of videos, and I'm sick of seeing black men in a rush to unalive another black man for any sort of slight. But yet we continue to allow sick people to... No wonder we're the floor mat of the world, man. The laughing stock of the fucking world. No one respects us, bro. It's time to respond, man. Period. It's time to put up or shut up. It's it. You see it. Brutalized them. Unalived them. I had a talk with Mr. Brooks's family. What did you tell him? What could you possibly say that they fucking want to hear after watching that video? If that's my brother, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, lady. There is nothing that you can say after I just saw this shit on video. What you gonna do? Apologize? Say I'm sorry that my officers acted in this way? This is a regular occurrence. This one just happened to be caught on video. Sick individuals, man. We're dealing with some sick people. And hell, you gotta fight fire with fire. If they're sick, unfortunately, we're gonna have to get sick too. This nice guy shit has us fighting for our lives. Thousands of fucking years later, still haven't obtained our damn freedom. Because we're not willing to do what it takes to get it. Jeez. Fucking shame. Rest in peace to Robert Brooks. Wish I can say rest in peace to every officer that was involved. Yeah, I said what I said. George Zimmerman. I keep going back to that. This is an individual that should not be walking the face of the earth for what he did. As far as I'm concerned, it's a slight on black people that he's still around. able to enter our own neighborhood, brutally unalive Trayvon Martin, our brother, make light of it, go to trial, get acquitted. This is America for you. They'll send you to prison for 20 years for a robbery. This man brutally unalives an unarmed teenager. And he walks scot-free. But people want me to take responsibility for my crimes. And when I talk about the system, they say, stop blaming the system. You committed the crime. Indeed. So did that devil. My point remains the same. We commit the same crime. I go to prison for it. You do not. See how that works? And then, as I've said before, George Zimmerman was making a mockery of our brother Trayvon Martin's death. How so? Well, he did a drive where he was selling bags of Skittles and signing them, autographing them. Now, of course, Trayvon Martin had a bag of Skittles. There was a big thing over the Skittles. I guess George Zimmerman said he thought it was a weapon, but he was going for Skittles. So it was a big thing over these Skittles during Trayvon Martin's death. So after George Zimmerman beat the case, he was signing autographs, or signing a pack of Skittles, and people were lined up to buy these Skittles as a souvenir. Just killing us and then making fun of it without a care in the world. They know we ain't gonna do shit. I said then and I say now, and I'm gonna close it out by saying this. It is what it is. George Zimmerman and every person that was in line to buy those Skittles should have had their fucking heads taken off, every one of them. A 15-year-old little white girl, a 19-year-old, a 50-year-old, old grandmama. If you there to buy those Skittles, making fun of this young brother being brutally unalive for no reason by this devil, and you're there to buy these Skittles as a souvenir to make fun of his death along with George Zimmerman, then you don't respect him and you don't respect black people. You should have been shown respect on that day. I guarantee you they would have never done anything like that again. But what happened? They just bought the Skittles and left and went home. Like it was nothing. Fucking disgusting. Stand up. I'll be back. And in the meantime, man, y'all stay free.